She called it sibling rivalry. I called it survival. Now she's lying in a hospital bed, and I can't shake the feeling that maybe this was the only way things could end. Welcome to Reddit Toxic Family Telltales channel. New episode every day. My sister once had her friends jump me, then turned around and lied straight to our dad's face about it. And the worst part? He believed her. When I finally broke down and told him the truth, he just sighed and said, "Your sister loves you. She'd never do that." Yesterday, that same sister turned around and accused him of abuse. Now my dad, the man who defended her at every turn, is in trouble with the law. Growing up, there was one rule in our house: never hit a woman. That was drilled into me from day one, and it was never an issue, until my 12th birthday. See, my older sister had been beating on me for years. One night I had this horrible nightmare. My parents' door was locked, so I curled up outside her room, just wanting the comfort of knowing my big sister was nearby. I woke up with bruises all over me the next morning. She'd beaten me simply because I'd blocked her doorway. By the time I turned 12, I was sick of it. One night I slipped on the stairs and made a loud thud. She stormed down, furious I'd woken her, and kicked me in the back of the legs. But this time I snapped. I grabbed her ankle and pinched it as hard as I could. And yet, instead of satisfaction, I felt this crushing guilt. I actually cried, feeling like a terrible brother, and then let her hit me back 10 times harder. And my parents? Don't get me wrong, I love them, but I know they saw the bruises. I know they heard me crying late at night. But they did nothing. In their eyes, it was just a girl hitting a boy. To the outside world, my sister looked like the perfect older sibling. When we'd cross the street, she'd throw her arm out in front of me to protect me. She'd rush ahead to hold doors open for strangers. Everyone thought she was this caring, protective angel. It made me sick. But if there was one silver lining, it was my body. I funneled all that pain and anger into the gym. By 16, I was ripped, starting varsity football, and finally too big for her to lay a hand on me. I wanted a real relationship with her, a fresh start. And for a moment, I thought I might get it. Because when I heard she was dating Malik, a smooth-talking guy from her grade, I kept my eye on him. At first, he seemed fine. But within 3 weeks, he cheated on her with her best friend. She found out through a disgusting Snapchat video. I was right there when she got it. She broke down crying, but me? I tracked his location and told her to get in the car. When we pulled up to his house, she knocked on the door. I barged past her best friend and found Malik leaning against the hallway wall. I didn't go overboard, I didn't want jail time, but I beat him until he gasped out, "Vanessa is my queen." My sister's name. Only then did I stop. On the drive back, I nearly crashed from laughing so hard, while she kept replaying that awful video. For the first time in years, I thought, maybe this was it. Maybe we'd finally rebuilt our bond. But nope. A week later, she was back with him. When I asked what the hell she was thinking, she just said, "Everyone deserves a second chance, plus it'll make my ex-best friend jealous." I told her flat out, if he hurts her again, I'm not getting involved. She sulked the whole night. 2 days later, our parents weren't home. There was a knock at the door. It was Vanessa. I opened it, and immediately 2 guys I didn't know started wailing on me. Fists slamming into my head, my ribs. I felt blood pouring down my face. They only stopped when they heard a car pull into the driveway, my dad. Vanessa's voice rang out, fake panic in her tone. "Oh my gosh, what happened?" She acted like she'd just arrived, like she hadn't set it up. My dad rushed in, pale as a ghost. I ended up in the hospital, concussion, fractured rib, dislocated shoulder. When Vanessa stepped out to use the bathroom, I finally told Dad the truth. I begged him, through tears, "She's been hitting me since we were kids. These bruises? They're all from her." I didn't even want her punished. I just wanted him to believe me. Instead, he put his hand on my shoulder and whispered, "Son, your sister loves you. She'd never do that. Get some rest." And that was the moment I realized. To him, the truth didn't matter. When I came to, the room was dim and my uncle was sitting beside me. His face was calm, but his eyes carried that weighty concern only family can give. After the usual, "How are you feeling?" Small talk, he leaned in closer, so close I could feel his breath warm against my ear, and whispered, "Your father believes you. We all do." I blinked, confused. My father? The same man who had brushed off my cries, telling me my sister loved me? My uncle nodded, as if reading my thoughts. The attack had finally cracked something open. My father, bound for years by that never hit a woman rule, was ready to face reality. Later, Miss Patel, the CPS worker assigned to our case, sat me down in the living room. She carried a thick manila folder, so stuffed it looked like it could spill secrets onto the floor at any moment. She placed it on her lap, her expression carefully neutral. My eyes darted toward the stairs, but Vanessa was nowhere to be seen. The family photos on the wall, smiling faces frozen in happier times, suddenly felt like they belonged to strangers. "This may be difficult," Miss Patel said softly, her voice steady but firm, "but I need to ask you some questions about your home life." My ribs ached with every heartbeat. Sitting upright on the couch was agony, the cushions swallowing me in ways that made me feel smaller, weaker. My fingers fiddled with a loose thread on my jeans. "What exactly did my sister tell you?" I asked, the bitterness in my voice betraying me. Her eyebrow arched. "I'd rather hear your perspective first." The pen in her hand clicked, ready to etch my words into permanence. I took a shaky breath, pain radiating through my side. The hum of the air conditioning filled the silence, a constant reminder of how loud my own thoughts were. For the next hour, I laid it all bare. The years of beatings. The lies. The hospital visits. Even the videos on Vanessa's phone, her laughing about setting me up. My throat went raw and sometimes I had to stop, choking back tears before pushing forward again. Miss Patel scribbled notes, her pen scratching softly against paper. Somehow, that quiet sound was comforting. Proof. Proof someone was finally listening. Then came the question that made my chest tighten. Your sister claims your mother struck her. Is that true? I nodded, the memory sharp as glass. The kitchen had smelled of dinner, garlic, onions, steam rising from pots. Vanessa had shoved Mom into the counter so hard the sound still echoed in my head. Mom, in shock and fury, had slapped her once across the face. Not hard. Not enough to even leave a mark. Just reflex. Miss Patel's face didn't change, but her pen moved quickly. She asked about where I'd been staying, and I admitted I just moved back yesterday. My room didn't even feel like mine anymore. Do you feel safe here now? She asked. The question sat heavy in the air. Did I? This was the same house, same creaky steps, same framed pictures, but it all felt poisoned. Before I could answer, a knock sounded at the door. My dad's relieved voice carried down the hall. Travis, come in. Uncle Travis stepped into the living room, his presence grounding me immediately. The couch dipped as he sat beside me, the familiar scent of pine and spice from his aftershave washing over me. He shook Miss Patel's hand, introduced himself, and with his usual calm strength confirmed everything I'd said. He scrolled through his phone, showing her text messages, photos of damage, even bruises on my mom's arms. Miss Patel's face faltered for the first time as she looked at the evidence. Then, bam. A door upstairs slammed. Vanessa appeared, wild-eyed, hair tangled, fury radiating from her. You're all lying. She screamed, her voice sharp enough to cut glass. They've been abusing me. I had to defend myself. Her fists clenched, spit flying from her mouth. Miss Patel rose calmly but with authority. Miss Horvat, I'll speak with you separately. But Vanessa wasn't done. Her eyes locked onto me, venom in every ounce of her glare. He's always been the favorite. They let him get away with everything while punishing me. Her voice cracked. Dad stepped forward, his voice low. Vanessa, that's enough. But she snapped. With a scream, she ripped a framed photo off the wall and hurled it. The frame spun through the air, glass shattering against the hardwood as Dad ducked. The silence afterward was deafening. Miss Patel positioned herself between us and Vanessa, her voice commanding now. Miss Horvat, calm down immediately. And just like that, Vanessa shifted. Her body folded in on itself, tears sliding down her face. Her lip quivered as she whispered, see how they make me feel? I'm scared all the time. The performance was Oscar-worthy. Even I almost bought it. Miss Patel was gathering her notes when Uncle Travis pulled out his phone again. There's something else you need to see. He hit play. The screen lit up with video of Vanessa screaming at Mom, shoving her hard into the counter. Mom flinched, backing away until she couldn't anymore. Then, reflexively, Mom slapped her. Vanessa froze, the color draining from her face. Where did you get that? Dad's voice was quiet. Sad. Cameras. After your brother went to the hospital, I had to protect this family. Miss Patel's jaw tightened. She snapped the folder closed. I've seen enough for today. Before leaving, she pulled me aside. Her eyes softened. We'll investigate fully. In the meantime, do you have somewhere safe to stay? I looked at Uncle Travis. He gave a firm nod. Yeah, I whispered. That night, I packed my bags again. The silence in the house was suffocating, broken only by the sound of my zippers and the creak of the floorboards. Vanessa locked herself away. Mom hugged me tight at the door, her voice breaking with apology. Dad's eyes were bloodshot, but his hand on my shoulder was firm. We're going to fix this. As Uncle Travis drove us away, the porch light glowed behind us, making the house look almost peaceful. A lie in the darkness. What happens now? I asked. His knuckles whitened on the steering wheel. CPS will finish their investigation. Your parents are asking for family therapy. And they're looking at residential treatment for Vanessa. The words hit me like a weight. Sending her away. The idea was both a relief and a sadness I couldn't untangle. I pressed my forehead against the window, watching the streetlights flicker past in rhythmic shadows. Despite everything, I didn't hate her. I just wanted the pain to stop. The days that followed blurred together, CPS interviews, doctor checkups, and awkward silences at home. I tried throwing myself back into school, into football, anything that felt normal. The echo of footsteps in familiar hallways, the smell of pencil shavings and cafeteria food, it was grounding even as whispers followed me. Coach Madison noticed I was off. One afternoon after drills, he walked over. Sweat glistened on his forehead under his faded cap. Family stuff, huh? He asked, his voice gruff but kind. I fumbled with my helmet strap. Yeah, complicated. He nodded knowingly, eyes narrowing against the sun. Family always is. Just remember, you've got another family here. He gestured to the guys on the field, all mud-stained and yelling through plays. For a moment I felt it, belonging. And when the rumors started spreading about why I'd been gone, my teammates had my back without hesitation. They didn't need details. Just knowing they were ready to stand between me and the whispers, it meant more than I could say. Then, a week after Miss Patel's visit, Uncle Travis got a call. I was halfway through dinner when he put down his fork, his face going pale. Vanessa's run away, he said. My own fork clattered against my plate. What do you mean, run away? Where would she even go? My brain scrambled, friends' houses, distant relatives, maybe Malik. He frowned. Your dad thinks she might be with him. I barked a laugh, sharp and bitter. After he cheated on her and gave her STDs? No chance. But even as I said it, a knot twisted in my stomach. Vanessa was unpredictable. And Dad had been right. 2 days later, police found her holed up at Malik's apartment. She screamed at them, refusing to come home. Because she was 17, legally she didn't have to. That technicality hit me harder than any punch she'd ever thrown. Dad sounded exhausted when he called. She's welcome back if she agrees to therapy and house rules. That's it. And if she doesn't? I asked quietly. His sigh filled the silence. I didn't push further. Life shifted again. I split my time between Uncle Travis's place and home, easing back slowly. Meals felt strange with just 3 of us, quiet, heavy with the absence of someone we weren't sure we wanted back. My room felt unfamiliar, like a museum exhibit of my own life. Weeks passed. My injuries healed, football season wrapped up, and Christmas lights began twinkling across the neighborhood. Just when I thought things had settled, she came back. It was between classes. I felt eyes on me, sharp enough to raise the hairs on my neck. When I turned, there she was. Vanessa. She looked thinner, dark circles carved under her eyes. Her clothes hung loose, her hair pulled back in a messy ponytail that did nothing to hide how drained she looked. "Hey," she muttered, barely audible over the hallway noise. My body tensed, scanning for hidden threats, familiar faces, anyone she might have dragged into another setup. But it was just her. "What do you want?" The words came out harsher than I meant. "Can we talk?" "Just a minute." Books clutched tight to her chest like a shield. Against my better judgment, I followed her into an empty classroom. The smell of chalk dust and faint teenage sweat clung to the air. I leaned against the doorframe, keeping the exit within reach. She caught me looking. "You think I'm gonna attack you?" She tried to smile, but it crumbled. "Wouldn't be the first time," I said flatly. She flinched. "I guess I deserve that." Her fingers traced circles on the desk beside her. After a long silence, she finally said it. "Malik kicked me out. He's back with Jasmine." The words dripped with bitterness, her pride fractured. I didn't know what to say. "I told you so" would have been cruel, even after everything. She looked down at her sneakers. "I've been staying with friends, but I want to come home." Her voice cracked just enough to catch me off guard. "That's up to Mom and Dad." My tone was stiff. She nodded, jaw tightening. "They said therapy and some residential program after New Year's." She stopped herself, then spat. "It's bull. I don't need to be locked up." I shook my head. "It's not prison, Vanessa. It's treatment." She rolled her eyes. "Whatever. They also said I have to apologize to you, so sorry, I guess." Something inside me snapped. "You guess? After years of beating me down, sending guys to put me in the hospital, and that's all you've got?" My voice rose, heat flooding my face. Her eyes blazed. "Fine. I'm sorry. I'm sorry I hurt you. I'm sorry I was jealous that everyone always loved you more. I'm sorry I'm so messed up that the only way I know to deal with anything is to hit something." For the first time, I saw past her rage, saw the hurt, the insecurity, the chaos twisting her from the inside. Her chest heaved, eyes glassy. For a heartbeat, she looked like a scared kid. My anger drained. "I never wanted them to love me more," I whispered. She wiped at her face furiously. "Well, they did. They do. And now they're sending me away because they don't want me." Tears betrayed her, slipping free despite her efforts. "That's not true. They want to help you." I stepped forward, then froze, not sure if I should. Her laugh was bitter. "Help me by getting rid of me? Yeah, okay." The bell rang, voices filling the hallway outside. She brushed past me, her vanilla perfume sharp against the musty classroom air. "Tell Mom and Dad I'll do their stupid therapy if it means I can come home for Christmas." That night, I told my parents. The 3 of us sat at the kitchen table, steam rising from dinner plates gone cold. Mom twisted her wedding ring, tears brimming. "We've been trying to reach her. Her phone's off." "Do you think she means it? About therapy?" I asked quietly. Dad rubbed his forehead, exhaustion carved into every line of his face. "I don't know. We've heard promises before." Mom's voice trembled. "The program has a good reputation. 3 months minimum. Trauma, anger management. We can't fix this on our own." I pushed food around my plate, no appetite left. "She thinks you're sending her away because you don't want her anymore." The words landed like stones. Mom's tears spilled over. "That's not true. We love her. We don't know how else to help." And for the first time, I wondered if love would ever be enough. The next day, my phone buzzed against my thigh in the middle of history. "Vanessa, can you pick me up after school? Need to grab some stuff from home." I read it under the desk, heart thudding a little faster. Was this legit? Or another trap with a pretty bow on it? That evening, I showed Uncle Travis the text while he stirred onions and garlic in a skillet. The whole kitchen smelled warm and sharp, comfort food and warning bells all at once. "I don't like it," he said, knife pausing mid-chop. "Could be another setup." "I don't think so." I leaned against the counter, pretending to be more certain than I felt. Yesterday she seemed different. Like the fight had drained out of her. "Different how?" He tilted his head, blade still hovering over a half-diced pepper. "Defeated, maybe." I shrugged. "Smaller." He wiped his hands on a dish towel, decision settling over his face. "I'm coming with you." We waited in the school lot after last bell, the car heater roaring against the December cold until the windows fogged slightly. Vanessa walked out alone, backpack slung low, surprise flickering when she spotted my uncle riding shotgun. Little clouds of breath puffed from her mouth as she climbed into the back. "What's he doing here?" she asked, dropping her bag with a thud. "Moral support," I said, easing into the slow river of cars. Salt crunch sang under the tires as we rolled out. The drive was quiet, the kind of quiet where your brain fills in everything you're not saying. As soon as we got home, she headed upstairs. Drawers opened, shut. Hangers scraped. The house felt like it was holding its breath. 20 minutes later, she came down with a duffel that looked ready to explode at the seams. Just clothes and stuff. I'm staying at Skylar's tonight. Your parents know you're here? Uncle Travis asked, leaning back against the counter like a bouncer who'd learned manners. I texted Mom. She's at work. Vanessa hitched the bag higher. Keys jingled in her pocket. She turned to go, and a small orange prescription bottle tumbled out, rattling across the tile straight to my shoe. I bent, picked it up, and read the label. Not her name. These are Dad's pain meds, I said, stomach dropping. From his back surgery. Vanessa lunged for it, face flushing. Give it back, it's not what you think. My uncle stepped between us, calm as a traffic cone in a hurricane. Then what is it, Vanessa? Her expression crumpled. I can't sleep. I have nightmares. Her shoulders sagged like the words weighed 100 pounds. These aren't sleeping pills, I said, sliding the bottle into my pocket. And they're not yours. Fine, keep them. She shouted, tears streaking fast. You've taken everything else from me anyway. The front door slammed so hard the frame shivered. Through the window, I watched her storm down the sidewalk, wiping at her face, the winter sun already tilting toward evening and throwing long, bruised shadows across the thin crust of snow. That night I lay awake, headlights sweeping the ceiling every few minutes. You've taken everything else from me anyway. Had I? I'd told the truth and finally defended myself. Since when did boundaries make you the villain? Morning came with a call from Mom. Her voice was soft, frayed at the edges. Vanessa had come home late, asked to talk, and for the first time actually talked. Hours at the kitchen table. Jealousy. Anger. Abandonment. Tissues piling into a soggy mountain. She agreed to start therapy right away, Mom said, hope tucked carefully under her words. Not just the residential program. Sessions with Dr. Bailey start tomorrow. That's good, I said, trying to keep the caution out of my voice and not entirely succeeding. Do you believe her? Mom asked. It felt different this time. I wanted to. God, I wanted to. But the orange bottle was still sitting on my nightstand like a neon reminder of the line she'd been willing to cross. Over the next week, the updates trickled in. 3 sessions with Dr. Bailey. She participated. She did homework. She came straight home. Helped with chores. 0 blow-ups. The house apparently had a new soundtrack, quiet. It's like she's a different person, Dad told me when he swung by to pick me up for dinner, the first one with all of us since everything detonated. His eyes looked less haunted. For once, the worry lines on his face were just lines. You sure this is a good idea? I asked as we pulled into the driveway. The house looked ordinary, porch light, wreath, the works, but knowing she was inside made my chest tighten. Dr. Bailey thinks it matters, Dad said, cutting the engine. He watched me, ready to bail if I said the word. I swallowed and nodded. I want things to get better. Inside, Mom set plates while Vanessa stirred something on the stove. She glanced up and offered a small, careful smile. Her hair was pulled back neatly. A plain sweater instead of her usual all-black armor. The wooden spoon dripped sauce onto the burner with little hisses. Hey, she said, voice steady but quiet. Hey, I answered, just as careful. Dinner was civil. We stuck to weather, school, Uncle Travis's new girlfriend. Not one word about CPS or therapy. The clink of silverware filled the spaces where the past usually roared. After we cleared the table, Vanessa approached. Can we talk? In private. Dad gave me a nod like, you've got this, and disappeared into the kitchen. We took the living room. I sat in the chair, she took the couch and worried the edge of her sleeve between 2 fingers. Dr. Bailey says I need to make amends, she began, eyes on the fabric. Not just say sorry, name what I did and how it hurt you. I waited. The coffee table felt like a small fence between us, useful and unfair. I was awful to you, she said, voice shaking. For years I hit you. I humiliated you. I sent those guys to hurt you. I lied. She finally looked up. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I just want you to know I understand. I'm trying to change. My throat tightened. Why? I asked. Why did you do it? She took a breath like she was about to dive. Part jealousy. You were good at everything, school, friends, sports, and people liked you right away. I felt like I had to work twice as hard for half the notice. She twisted her sleeve tighter. And instead of facing that, I took it out on the person who was there. On the person I could. Her voice broke on could. We talked. Really talked. Childhood. Pressure. How our parents love differently. The million small moments that calcify into something ugly when you leave them alone too long. It wasn't magic, nobody cried happy tears and hugged it out while violins swelled. But a window cracked open in a wall I'd thought was solid brick. For the first time, reconciliation felt possible. Fragile, sure, like glass in winter, but possible. And as I sat there, I realized the real test wasn't this conversation. It was coming fast, wrapped in twinkle lights and family expectations, with 3 words that could make or break everything. Home. For Christmas. As Christmas crept closer, the house almost felt normal again. Ornaments shimmered on the tree, Mom's holiday baking filled the air with cinnamon and sugar, and even Vanessa seemed steady. She went to therapy without protest, admitted maybe the residential program could help, and for the first time in years, the tension eased enough that I actually exhaled at home. But 2 days before Christmas, everything shattered. I came back from last-minute shopping, arms full of bags, only to see red and blue lights flashing across our snow-covered lawn. Police cars sat in the driveway, their lights pulsing against the darkening sky. My stomach dropped as I rushed inside. Mom was crumpled on the couch, sobbing while an officer scribbled in his notebook. The smell of pine from the tree mixed sickeningly with the acrid cold air from the open door. What happened? I demanded. Where's Dad? Where's Vanessa? Mom's face was blotchy, eyes swollen. Your father's at the hospital. Vanessa, she took his car. She been drinking. There was an accident. The bag slid from my hands. Is she okay? Is Dad okay? The officer's voice was calm, practiced. Your father has cuts from pulling her out of the wreck. Your sister, she's in surgery. No seatbelt. Hours blurred after that. Uncle Travis drove us to the hospital. Dad was waiting in the lobby, his hands bandaged, clothes still streaked with blood and smoke. The antiseptic stung my nose, mingling with the metallic tang clinging to him. I saw her take my keys, he said hollowly. I followed in your mom's car. I tried to catch up but I was too late. He stared down at his bandaged palms, red seeping through the gauze. We waited forever. The clock ticked loud enough to feel cruel. Every time a doctor walked by, my chest seized. Finally one stopped, scrubs spattered, mask dangling. She's stable, he told us. Fractures, internal bleeding, concussion. But she's young. With therapy she'll recover. Relief hit like a wave, though guilt and anger churned underneath. When we finally saw her, she looked tiny against the machines. Casts, bandages, tubes, so unlike the storm I'd known her as. I stood frozen at the end of her bed, torn between pity and resentment. As we left the ICU, an officer stopped my parents. We found these. He handed over an evidence bag. Inside, several prescription bottles. One of them was the exact orange vial I'd caught her with weeks ago. She had alcohol and prescription substances in her system, he explained. Once she recovers, there will likely be charges, DUI, theft of medication, unlicensed driving. Mom gasped, tears spilling fresh. Charges? She needs help, not punishment. Dad turned to me, eyes weary. Did you know about the pills? I nodded slowly. I caught her trying to take yours. I thought Uncle Travis told you. He did. We thought we'd found them all. Dad pressed a hand over his eyes. Doctors said she's been abusing them for months. Suddenly, so much made sense. The rages, the roller coaster highs and lows, the sudden progress that never lasted. Christmas came and went under hospital lights. A small tree twinkled at the nurse's station, almost mocking in its cheer. Vanessa stayed sedated, her body too wrecked to wake. On December 27th, she opened her eyes. Confused. Broken. Alive. The next day, I went alone. She was propped up in bed, leg in a cast, bandages everywhere. Machines beeped steadily. She wouldn't look at me when I came in. Hey, I said, setting a small gift bag on the table. Late Christmas present. She eyed it suspiciously. Why would you get me anything? Her voice was rough, scraped thin. Because you're my sister, I said simply. And because you'll need something to pass the time. Inside was a sketchbook and pencils. She flipped through the blank pages, paper whispering. You used to draw all the time, I reminded her. Remember those superhero comics you made? You swore Pixar stole your idea. A tiny smile cracked her face. The Incredibles ripped me off. For a second I saw the girl I'd grown up with. Silence settled, softer this time. She traced the edge of the sketchbook. I really messed up, didn't I? Yeah, I said. But you're still here. That's something. She looked away. They're sending me to rehab. Then maybe that residential program or juvie. Her voice was flat, resigned. One day at a time, I told her, echoing Uncle Travis. Tears filled her eyes. Why are you nice to me after everything? I thought about it. Because holding on to anger just makes me like the person you were. And I don't want to be that. She swallowed hard, nodding. I don't want to be that person either. When I walked out into the winter night, the air bit sharp in my lungs, but for the first time it felt like hope. Fragile, messy, uncertain hope. Uncle Travis leaned against his truck, breath fogging. How'd it go? I pulled in a deep breath, the words solid in my chest. Okay. I think we're gonna be okay. He clapped my shoulder, warm and steady. One day at a time, kid. And for the first time in years, I believed him. The weeks after Christmas blurred together in a haze of hospital visits, legal meetings, and long days where normal life tried to creep back in. Vanessa's body healed slowly, casts, crutches, bruises fading to yellow, but the emotional wreckage was harder to mend. I split myself in two, half of me at school and football training, the other half at her bedside. Sometimes we talked, sometimes we didn't. I'd just sit while she filled page after page of the sketchbook I'd given her. At first, her drawings looked like storms trapped on paper, harsh lines, twisted faces, jagged chaos. But as the weeks passed, the edges softened. Houses appeared. Trees. Even a portrait of us all together on the porch, smiling like some alternate reality version of our family. Dr. Bailey says art therapy helps me process, she murmured one afternoon, shading the window frames of that house. Her pencil scratched gently, steady. January slipped into February. When she was discharged, the judge's decision landed, inpatient rehab instead of juvie, followed by residential treatment. Strict but merciful. You got lucky, I told her the first time I visited the rehab center. It was brighter than I expected, more college dorm than hospital wing. I know, she said, eyes lowered. Dad's lawyer really came through. And for once, she didn't smirk. She meant it. At home, things shifted too. Mom and Dad finally admitted how years of denial had scarred us all. They started marriage counseling, stopped pretending everything was fine. One night over hot chocolate, Mom's voice broke as she told me, "We should have protected you." I'll never forgive myself for not seeing it sooner. I wanted to ease her guilt, so I said, "I'm okay now." But we both knew okay was still a work in progress. By March, my room felt like mine again. Posters swapped out, new ones on the walls. Window cracked open, letting in cool spring air. It smelled like change. Then April arrived and with it, Vanessa's return. 2 weeks at home before her residential program, our trial run. The day she came back, my nerves were electric. Mom's text, she's home. She's resting. Both soothed and spiked my anxiety. When I walked in after practice, the house was quiet, almost reverent. I found them in the kitchen, Mom, Dad, and Vanessa playing Uno of all things. Dad was actually laughing. For a moment, it didn't feel like our family, it felt like the family I used to wish for. Vanessa looked different. Her hair tied back neat, circles under her eyes gone, jeans and a plain t-shirt instead of her old black uniform. She was healthier, calmer. Like a weight had shifted off her shoulders. For a few days, things held steady. But on the fourth night, I woke to muffled sobs slipping through the walls. The red digits on my clock glared 2:17 a.m. I froze, listening. The old me would have stayed put, praying she'd quiet down. But this new chapter? It felt like a test. I padded down the hall, the floor cool under my feet. Stopped at her door. Knocked softly. Vanessa, you okay? The crying halted. A long pause. Then, I'm fine. Her voice was thick, broken. I rested my hand on the knob. Can I come in? Another pause, then softer, if you want. Her room was dim, nightlight casting shadows that stretched across her walls. She sat cross-legged on the bed, wiping her face quickly. Her sketchbook lay open, showing 2 kids holding hands, us. Bad dream? I asked, stepping in carefully. She nodded. About the accident. I keep seeing Dad's face when he pulled me out. He looked so scared. I sat on the edge of her bed. The mattress dipped, making us lean slightly toward each other. He was. We all were. Her voice cracked as she rushed the words out. I didn't mean to crash. I was just so angry. And the pills, everything was fuzzy. I couldn't think straight. I know. I cut her off gently. Nobody thinks you did it on purpose. I let my hand rest on her shoulder. She didn't flinch. She tugged at a thread on her blanket. Dr. Bailey says I can't change the past, but I can decide what I do next. Good advice, I murmured. Her eyes lifted, red-rimmed but clearer than I'd ever seen them. I'm trying. It's just hard. I nodded. Yeah. But you're not alone this time. The silence that followed wasn't heavy, it was full. Full of things unsaid but finally understood. For the first time, I didn't just hope we might be okay. I believed it. Not perfect. Not fixed overnight. But okay together, walking forward instead of backward. And that felt like enough. Thanks for watching. Today's train wreck is over, but tomorrow's ride is already on track. Subscribe so you don't miss it.